All right, as we can see today, I'm going to kind of try to roll back to is uh, see, Richard, well, I moved north. Can't have a fire in the fireplace in Texas. Got a nice crackling fire going right now. We did a bullish harami near the oversold area. That's a good indication that maybe the selling has stopped. Now, was the selling due to the big fear of the short squeeze on GameStop? That's probably the excuse. It was ready to take some profits. Ready to take profits, and that was a good excuse for it to take profits. But notice where the bullish harami occurred. Right about the same level they kept bottoming out before. So I wouldn't suspect this is a rip-roaring reversal, but I would think they might start bouncing it around. And you also had the NASDAQ. It's been in an uptrend until the last few days. So even though this was a strong up day, it's not a reversal signal. So that usually tells you they haven't changed investor sentiment. It might just be a bounce. So you got to be careful yet. And while I'm here, we will take a look at what crude oil prices are doing. And just as a point of interest, today GameStop closed down 100 points. Geez. And right now it's trading at 190. So it looks like it's even trading at or below the T-line. So this is reality. They took it up on not a yeah, I don't know, John. I've just stayed away from it. But was it Steve mentioned over in the options room that he's bought some puts way down here because it's not out of the realm of possibility that this spike, when everybody starts bailing, they could come back down to this level or lower. So got to remember the reason that there was a lot of short positions on in this stock was because there wasn't any real great stuff going on in it and people thought it could go down. They thought that at 15. So it's not unusual to see them just, when they start pulling the plug, you can't get out fast enough. That was a ladder attack. You need to scare people. They sell the stock at lower than market. Yeah, that's probably the only way you could do it is, and that's not, yeah, if there's no bids stepping in, they're probably having to hit much lower bid prices. So anyways, this is just one of those anomalies, if that's the right word. I said it without rolling my tongue. So when they pull the plug, it can drop pretty hefty. All right, so there's still a lot of good chart setups. We recommended VRTX. We started recommending it in the chat rooms yesterday because this is a very high probability trade setup. When they come up and they consolidate right back here to the T-line and head back up, that's a pretty good indication the bulls are definitely in control. And then another characteristic, I didn't know they were announcing earnings tonight or after the close, but you can see what the nature of the trading was going into the close. They were still buying. So you got to kind of assume that people that know what's going on in the company or in this, that are following a lot closer, if they're buying going into earnings, that means they know something. And right now it's trading, trading up in this range. So apparently their earnings were good. Fubo, same characteristic. Came right back to the T line and then traded positive. That's usually a good, yep, right, yeah, I saw it up in that area. Okay. So anyways, that's Fubo, still heading up. And we recommended Workhorse today. Because if it opened positive, what type of pattern were we going to be witnessing? A 45 degree. And why would we suspect a 45 degree? Because if you see a indecisive day gap up, kind of your best friend, breakout, more than likely you're going to see that 45 degree. You're right. And we recommend QDEL on the same scenario. That the left-right combo gap up of Friday told us if they started trading positive, this J-hook pattern was going to be in progress. So this is just a very recognizable pattern setup. Is that when they pull back right to the T-line and do a buy signal, you're going to have a good probability it's going to head higher. Yeah. Again, I'm not so interested in the short interest other than now it's come to the forefront here because of GameStop. But there's always something that lends to investor sentiment. In the past, depending on what investor sentiment is, if crude oil prices were going up, oh, that was bad for the economy, higher gasoline prices. So the sentiment at that time would be they'd sell off the market because crude oil prices are going up. 6 months later, crude oil prices are going up. Investor sentiment, oh, that's good because that means the economy is picking up, so they're buying the market. So right now, because of the stigma of the short squeeze, now everybody's kind of looking to see what the short interest is. And more than likely, in 2 weeks, that whole investigatory process will be gone. People will be back to normal buying and selling based upon what the charts are doing. Now, here is a perfectly good reason why everybody should learn how to do the scans on their own. I had 5 stock picks for today. I picked VRTX, Workhorse, and QDEL. I could have picked this one also because of the bullish flutter kicker right off the 50-day moving average. So this is why I always advocate people learning how to do their own scans, because some people will say, well, I don't want to buy an $80 or $90 stock. I'm more interested in the $20 stock or the $15 stock. So this allows you to have more trade setups than you have money to invest, which puts you in a position where, because of your scans, you can pick out the best ones that fit into your trading nature. Okay, a few others that we are long. Bingo. Still staying above the T-line, still working nicely. NNDM. Closed just above the T-line. If this starts trading positive, probably a good position to start buying. There is a scanning video, yes. FUV. You stay long on this as long as it stays above the T-line. Fuel cell, same scenario. So this is why we've put the rare program into action, because we know that, again, assuming that the electric vehicle sector is going to remain strong for the next couple of years, that doesn't mean we want to be in all electric vehicle stocks at any particular time. Kendai broke out the other day but faded back. So we closed this one out. Why? Because it closed back below the T-line. So you have to look at this on a basis of, is there any buying strength in this one right now? And obviously the answer is no. Now, had this opened positive and done this, yeah, that would have been a different story. But this was the hard part for me to close out a position. I'd say, oh man, I looked at this and it was going good and I thought it was going to be great. Now it's doing this. Before I would sit around and say, oh, I'm going to give it a little bit more time. Instead of saying, well, I got a shooting star, and we can see that with a close below the T-line, what the trajectory was. It disappeared. Now, is that any different than Blink? Well, Blink has a slightly different nature to it. It's been consolidating, popping up, consolidating, popping up, consolidating. So we'll probably give this one more day, which we did, to see if they can bring it back up. Because what is the overall analysis of this trend? Currently, it still hasn't breached the uptrend channel. Still in an uptrend. Let me make sure I haven't missed any. Oh, somebody was asking, what would make you buy BTBT? Well, it's still in the fry pan bottom, and it closed right on the T-line. I'd be a buyer of this on strength, because that would tell me the T-line was acting as support. So all this is based upon visual analysis of what's going on in investor sentiment at appropriate times. I say appropriate times. Look where the buying started today on XL. Now, I understand this was based upon somebody upgrading it or recommending it, but just the fact that as it's drifted, where did it turn around? As soon as it hit the 50 and started back up. So now it becomes a play that has at least probabilities to it. That if they start trading this positive and break this downtrend, that means everybody that was watching it was waiting to see what it would do once it got to the got to the 50-day moving average. Actually, we did link Kendai. IPWR. Another one that can be bought as long as it stays up above the T-line. If this came back up through today's open, it tells you your J-hook pattern is starting off. So again, notice the fry pan bottoms. The fry pan bottoms is what gives you that added boost that you're not only in the right place, but again, this is where we're kind of using now the rare program. Look at the double doji setup, and again, it right off the T-line, it headed higher. This again puts you in a situation where the probabilities are greatly in your favor of being in the right place at the right time. PGen, a little bit iffy. But you can see kind of a wedge, and it's still trying to support here on the 50. Now, if this traded lower tomorrow, probably want to close it out because that's telling you they're not going anywhere. It definitely needs to see a positive open and start trading positive. We closed out some of the oils. because they were down toward the oversold area, and in this case, Occidental was using the 34 EMA as support. Now, it didn't close above the T-line, but what was all this telling us down here? We're in the oversold area, they've hit a support level, they're not really going down, so the probabilities are starting to go against you as far as being in a short position. Same scenario on Apache. Another doji harami right on the 34 in the oversold area. It tells us, maybe this is now more of a trend channel. It was time to come out of that short position. Same scenario on Etsy. Had a nice strong sell signal up here, but they couldn't sell it off. And it closed, I don't know whether it closed just above or it closed enough to tell us, they aren't selling this off right now. Let's close out the position. So again, that's the hard part, or was the hard part for me, is to finally acquiesce and say, here we have a fry pan bottom. You stay long until you see a close below the T-line. Well, it closed right there. Close enough to say, all right, if this opens lower tomorrow, where do you think they're taking it? Back here to the 50. It needs to open positive and trade positive to give us our classic pattern. Andrew, hold on to your individual ones until we get where I tell Jim to do the double line. So if we understand what the pattern setups are, we can see what happened here on ODT. Nice breakout right here. Where do you think the first target was? 200. Raymond, I don't know. The S&P. Now let me get to it. So this one you watch because it hasn't been able to go close below the T-line. So what type of pattern do we look for it to be setting up? Looking for the bobble breakout. How do we get it over here? The SPY. Other indexes, they get traded higher, bouncing. So I don't think it's a reversal yet, but more than likely, maybe they've stopped the selling. So it might mean we're in a bobble sideways market for a little bit. And here was another one that we were hoping would be a breakout like the GameStop. And then you can see what happened. So it needed to open positive and trade positive, which it didn't do. However, it still got the prospects of doing a 45 degree. Now, if this opens lower and trades lower tomorrow, if you held on to it, you close it out and wait to see if there's a next buy signal. Flowers, we recommended going short. Again, that was based upon your big left-right combo. You can stay short on this one until you see a buy signal. SPWR is a perfect example that if you've got a doji up here in the overbought area, simply put your stop at the low of the doji. If you've stopped out, you can always decide whether to buy back in if they start trading positive from here. But as you can see, they closed right on the T-line. Tim, if you had a good profit in it, yes. So people say, well, should we be buying back? My answer is, if you've got a profit, took it out, you got to ask yourself, is this the best place to be buying? Or do you go find another chart that looks like this? Remember, with the 9,500 trading entities out there, on any given day when you do your scans, you're going to find 5, 10, 12, 15, 20 good trade setups. Go find another trade. And that's, a lot of people want to get back in because, man, that would kill my ego if I just took a profit because it looked like it was time to, it was selling off, but it could go higher. Oh boy. Boy, would I look stupid if it went higher. Instead of saying, all right, is this the best place to have my money? Let's go find another trade that's got better probabilities to it. Still able to short Carnival if it opens lower tomorrow. You can see what the overall trend is, and you can see the failure up here. What's that provide for us? The blue ice failure, which means if they couldn't find the hole they fell through, they're going to the bottom of the pond. GOCO, not GOGO. Another one that if you shorted it today, you stay short. You don't want to see it open positive. If it opens lower tomorrow, you can still short this one because of the dumpling top. And remember, the dumpling top is the opposite of a fry pan bottom. It usually tells you there's going to be a lot of force to the downside. So some of the biggies, Tesla, still not a good trader. And right now, that's not a chart that you want to be long or short. Apple, kind of in that same category. And Amazon was in that category, except right now, you can see where the resistance level is on Amazon. You can see the morning star signal, the little scoop type pattern. Oh, Apple had great earnings. Where is it trading now? So on Amazon, it was trading up here after hours. So if this opens positive tomorrow, what's it tell us? A morning star scoop type pattern breaking out into new territory. Okay. Yeah, morning star is a big down day, a day of indecision, and a big up day. Or 2 days of indecision and a big up day. So it's still a morning star signal. I was in the rare. Last Saturday was a recording emailed. Aaron, if you email Abraham at candlestickforum.com, say, I'd like to have the recording, he'll send it out to you. Did Apple. And putting this one over in the big category, you can see kind of the fry pan bottom breakout. Where could this one go? Hard to tell. You just have your safety stops in. Okay, I think I've gotten most of the ones that we're involved with. Now, there's still lots of good looking charts out there. Somebody pointed out Lake today. Observe the obvious. Wave one, make it even more obvious. Kind of a fry pan bottom, J-hook pattern. So look at our morning star type signal, smack dab off the 34. Now, often get people saying, well, why the 34 versus the 20? Just because the 34 works relatively well. Andrew will still do individual ones when we tell Jim to do the double line. So you got a J-hook pattern setting up in this one. So what are the probabilities? The probabilities are wave one, wave two, going into wave three. YI. There's your J-hook pattern. Notice where it bounced, right smack dab off the T-line. Now, why is that significant? I'll always remind people, nobody has the T-line on their charts. We have it on our chart because we know it acts like a natural support and resistance level of human nature. So if you see a pattern setting up where they can't close it below the T-line, it gives you that much more probabilities that you're heading in the right direction at the right time. Arlo, same thing. Look at where it broke out. So what do we expect from here? If this is wave one, this was wave two. Let me see if I can do the trend. Well, Shazam. So when it broke out with this slow curve, remember what this slow curve illustrates. A buildup of investor sentiment, and there's the enthusiasm that breaks it out. Mead, you should be embarrassed to ask that question. Stochastic settings are 12.3.3. A J-hook pattern has a prerequisite of a strong price move. It pulls back, and you can see where it supports and does the J-hook. But the prerequisite for a J-hook is that strong price move. A fry pan bottom is just a big flat rounding bottom that you couldn't trade one way or the other until it gets up to the breakout level. So I would suggest that if you haven't recognized the patterns, there's about 8 of them, and if you haven't gotten to know the 12 major signals, the 12 major signals are what you should be looking at every night just before you turn out the light and fall asleep. You should be looking at all the signals, 12 of them. That's your bread and butter. Oh, is that what it is? I don't even know what Arlo does. So once you understand what the signals are telling you, and then you can recognize the patterns, that just gives you that much added confidence or added visual ability to see when the next price move is about ready to occur. Broom, a bullish harami, bullish confirmation. And what's the additional confirmation on the harami confirmation? 1, closed above the T line. 2, closed above the 50. 3, it closed above the 34. And 4, it closed above this downtrend. What am I looking at here? Let's see. ENDP. There's your J-hook pattern. Strong price move, pull back. You can see that it's kind of doing a J-hook, a little bit stretched out J-hook. But this one can be bought on positive trading, putting you into wave 3. What charting software do you use? If you please, I use Team Viewer. The one we're using right now, unfortunately, is the grandfather of the charting systems. It's CQG, and you don't want to use this as $1,300 a month. But you get good charting on Metastock, which you can use also as your scanning software, and you get good charting on Warden Brothers TC2000. And I don't advocate one over the other. It's just whatever somebody likes. Now, if you're trading a lot of different things, like Canadian stocks, Asian stocks, European stocks, currencies, commodities, I would definitely recommend Metastock because they've got everything on their feed, whereas Warden Brothers, all they've got basically is U.S. stocks and some Canadian, but not very many. So here is, again, there's your fry pan bottom. There's your J-hook pattern. And so this is where you use your 2+2 analysis. When they pulled back, look how they hugged the 50 until they did a left-right combo. Starting up, and there's your trend kicker. Where do you think the next likely target's going to be? Well, if they supported the 50, they're probably going to go up to the next target area. All right. Okay, so the more pieces of information you can put into your analysis, the higher the probability you've got a reversal or a good uptrend. Look at your morning star signal. Down day, doji, third day closes more than halfway up, followed by a doji sandwich. And remember what we call that. That's your McMuffin. And so if we know that the morning star signal is one of your 12 major signals, a very strong reversal signal, that more than likely you're going to see more upside. And we know that the doji sandwich has a high probability of producing more upside. The McMuffin is just kind of a double confirmation. So if we think there's more upside, what type of pattern are we viewing? There's your J-hook pattern setting up. So wouldn't be afraid to be buying this. If it breaks out through this level, there's a good possibility your next move is going to be the same magnitude as that move. What is the best volume? Nicole, my universe is stocks that trade more than 200,000 shares on a daily basis. For two reasons. One, I want to be able to get in and out of the position immediately. I don't want to be sitting, waiting 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes to get out of a position. And secondly, the more volume, the faster the signals or patterns demonstrate themselves, or illustrate themselves, I guess is the right word. So here's another McMuffin, Morningstar signal, doji sandwich, and where did it do? It broke out from here. So what do we got? Wave 1, kind of a wave 2, going into wave 3. OPK, 45 degree. This move right here, and then trading positive, usually tells you you look for that 45 degree. Now, if you've got a 45 degree, you don't know how long it's going to last. So that's where either to buy the stock, knowing that you're going to hold on to it as long as it doesn't close back below the T line, and or do kind of a spread option strategy. INO was another one that was on the list to recommend. Whoops, there it is. You can see how you had a little left-right combo bullish signal right here, broke out through the 50. Then look what happened here. Opened here, eventually closed here. When they gap up and do a doji, this becomes a very strong probability, exactly, of doing a bullish flutter kicker signal. And it's very easy to what do I say, assimilate. We know that they gapped up above the previous day's open. That tells you there's a lot of strength there. And did a doji. We know the doji rule, which is they're going to usually move it in the direction of how they open it after a doji. So when it opens positive, you can be buying immediately because it's more than likely going to trade positive, which means you've got a bullish flutter kicker signal. $45 degree. When you see that big move, you can stay long as it stays above the T line. 45 degree. Let's see, DVAC was another of the biotechs. Look at your little J-hook type pattern, and it took off like a banshee today. So the reason you want to recognize the high probability pattern setups, you can see your fry pan bottom. You can see the breakout. Breakout was obvious at the beginning of the pattern as well as the 200. And you can see when they consolidated, they couldn't close below the T line. When this opened positive today, you knew you had a J-hook pattern. Now, this is the rhetorical question. Do you know that it's going to have a big, huge move like this? Definitely not. But the probabilities of being in something like this are greatly enhanced knowing that you're in the right direction at the right time. Does the 45-degree recognition have a relevance to a big move above the 50? Not necessarily. It's just that big move. And this is where your rare analysis comes into play. And when you see a big price move, what's making this move? So if I was getting ready to buy this because of the big, strong move, I'd go back to the news or go to that company and see if there was anything that that was announced that was going to make this a further uptrend. Ron, that's exactly why you don't use a stop limit order. You use a stop order for that exact reason. If you wanted to buy this above whatever this figure is right here, let's say 680. Well, if it traded above 680, what was that implying? That this J-hook pattern is going to be working. So as soon as your stop limit said, if I wanted to buy this at 680 or whatever that I got here, 685, that if it hit that level, I wanted to buy it at 685. Well, it went through that level, which meant couldn't buy it at 685, and so that limit stipulation kept you from being in a trade where you would have made, what was that, about 50% on your money on that trade. This gap up and always bullish. Well, if you see a pattern setting up, the J-hook pattern, they open up positive, especially gapping it up, tells you exactly what is happening. The bulls have stepped in. Yeah, so I've never used a stop limit order because on the same thing on the downside, I don't know what can't remember which one. But if something's trading down, let's say you've got a stop at $50, the stop limit, even if they're trading down and the last trade was $50.04, and then that next trade was $49.98 and continued down, they couldn't get you out at 50 on your stop limit. So you're still holding a stock that you wanted to be stopped out of, and it's still heading down. So you just put a stop in, because if it hits 50, and you've already done your analysis that if it hits 50, you want to be out, it doesn't matter whether you're out at 49.95 or 49.90, you want to be out of that position so that if it heads to 46, you're still not in it. Oh, up 67%, all right. I entered into a merger deal, okay. So that's the type of thing that you want to see before you buy it, to do your reverse engineering to see whether there's more upside or whether it's maxed out. Here's one. It's been a while since I've recommended it, but you can see the pattern setting up in Ford Motor Company. Let's get rid of that. You can see your fry pan bottom. Observe the obvious. Notice where it bottomed out, right smack dab here at the 50, did a doji sandwich, told us that this had been broken, and when was it time to take profits? This is just kind of like a picture book. Told you when to buy, and then where do most people buy? They buy exuberantly at the top, and what illustrates that? A gap up in the overbought condition. Now today there was buying because I guess there was a report that they were going to go into partnership with, who was it? Amazon? One of the biggies. as far as making electric cars? Apple, Google, all right, Google. So that puts them now in a different light. They're not just a Ford manufacturing automobiles, your normal gas engines. Now they're going more into high tech again with vehicles. So that gives you a completely different investor sentiment into that stock. Now I forgot where I am. Oh, RVP. Look where this broke out. So this is where I'd go back and say, all right, what was the news that broke this out? So before, I would tell people, you don't need to know what the fundamentals are. Because, that's already built into why people were buying. But now we want to kind of take that one step further and say, all right, we're seeing breakouts, especially in the high-tech areas. We want to see what's happened that caused that breakout, to see whether it was a one-shot deal where somebody just upgraded it, or whether it was something that was going to change the fundamentals of that company or the perception of the fundamentals of that company for a while. All right, so there are plenty of good J-hook patterns. This is a J-hook pattern. Prerequisite, strong price move, a pullback. And what started the new price move? There's your best friend signal, a doji gap up. So what is our estimate here? Well, if I was buying this one tomorrow, I probably wouldn't want to see it close back below the halfway point of this candle, because that would tell me they didn't break out. Oh, they declared a dividend? All right. Well, that may give a different perspective now that people will view this company strong enough that they that there's more upside, more solidity to that company. GAN, another one, a J-hook pattern. Could be bought on positive trading because they haven't been able to close below the T line. Tigger. Whoops, did that wrong. There's your proverbial J-hook pattern. This is what we call your classic pattern. Again, a fry pan bottom. What do we expect coming out of a fry pan bottom? A strong price move. What's the prerequisite for a J-hook pattern? A strong price move. So this tells us I wouldn't be buying this here or here, but I would be buying it here because we can see what pattern has set up, that there's been kind of a resting period. Does a J-hook pattern need to build up above? Not necessarily, but it's an added feature that we can see this uptrend staying up above the T-line until we saw a sell signal. It pulled back, and remember, the T-line is a natural support and resistance level of human nature. And notice the nature of the signals when it came back to the T-line. Inverted hammer, doji, spinning top, a little bit indecision, and now what's it telling us? They supported on the T-line, they're heading higher. But the T-line acts as an additional confirmation. How do you tell when it's a J-hook forming and not a sell signal below the T-line? You don't. Up here, you have nothing going on except you want to start taking some profits. That might be coming back to the T-line. And or when it got back to the T-line, you can see that it wasn't closing below the T-line. Now that right there would have told me, if they open this lower tomorrow, what do I got? I've got this type of trend versus this. So if I own this and I didn't take profits here, now remember, where was a good place to take profits? Look how they gapped it up in the overbought area, away from the T-line, where was a good place to put your profit-taking stop? Right there at the open, because logic says if they gapped up, I hate that little thing. They gapped up and traded positive. If they came back down through the open, what was likely to happen? We were going to get some type of sell signal. So again, just the simple evaluations of when to come out of a trade is much more. Whoops, hold on. Okay. It's much more, I want to say, illustrated just because of knowing what happens in human nature. And remember, our T-line is, if you see a buy signal and a close above the T-line, you can stay long until you see a sell signal and a close below the T-line, with the caveat that the further away you move from the T-line, the higher the probability they're going to come back and test it. So if you start seeing selling up here, you know pretty much where they're bringing it back to. You take profits and then get ready to buy back in if it does a J-hook pattern. So many times it dips $2, and now how do you tell it is going to go again? Last signal. Yes. If I didn't sell it here and I held on to it right here, just below the T-line, my strategy at that point, since I didn't sell it up here, was it has to open positive and trade positive. If it opens lower, close out the position. Now remember, we're not trying to buy at the absolute bottom, and we're not trying to sell at the absolute top. We're trying to get this high probability trade range. The more we can be in correct trades, increase our correct trade ratio, the higher and the more massive your compounding effect is going to be on your returns. What did I just do? Tigger, MGNI, setting up for another J-hook pattern. OMER, setting up for a J-hook pattern. Look at your inverted hammer. Remember, the inverted hammer is one of your 12 major signals, with the caveat on that one that although you don't see the inverted hammer as often as the others, if you see an inverted hammer and it trades positive, this is just unofficial analysis from me trading it for 40 years, you've probably got about a 95% probability or even higher that you're going to start going positive. So if you see an inverted hammer trading positive, what can we see setting up? Your J-hook pattern. A J-hook pattern on Microsoft at 6 months. Well, there's no reason to go back 6 months because we're trading this right here. So you did have your little Morningstar signal breakout, and all you have to do here is stay long as it stays up above the T-line. After listening to so many technical trading guides, thanks UVG, this is the reason I like teaching this, is because I was the worst investor in the world. I was even a stockbroker for 8 years and got out of the business because I realized that brokerage firms have no more idea about what makes prices go up or down than the man on the moon. If you always listen to their financial suggestion, it's buy good quality companies and hold them long term, you'll make money. Well, if you bought stocks in 2007, it took you 10 years to get that money back. So everything that I learned from candlestick analysis was just common sense put into a graphic depiction. Oh, that's why I wanted to get over to these. ONCT. You can see how this is trying to break out. What was the other one? CLXT. Oh, right here. You can see this situation. Now you have a J-hook pattern. So if you look at this, which is hard to do, and this chart has gotten so big, it's hard to even see the graphics of it anymore. Let me see if I can go this way. It was right here that, let me see if I can do this. There it is. So look what happened right here. This is what started GameStop. Now, this is also another reason why I tell people to learn how to do scans themselves. I'll put out 2 or 3 stock picks every day, sometimes 3 long, sometimes 3 shorts. We don't know which way the market's going. But there's, Nora in the chat room jumped on this one because it broke out. So this is the rhetorical question. Do you know whether a stock is ever going to go from 20 to 400 or 500 in a matter of 4 or 5 days? No. All you do know is that when you see that buying, when you see that buying, all you can assume it's going up. You don't know where it's going to go to. Most people wouldn't have held GameStop all the way as it got so extended. Probably not, but I'd like to have had the opportunity, and as I say, that's why I was saying people should do their own scans, because on the day that GameStop broke out, I had 5 good charts. GameStop was one of them. And I thought, I'll just wait to see if this opens positive the next day and then see about recommending it. And so I suggested 3 others that day. But somebody else might have said, well, I like GameStop. I'll trade it. So this is why I tell people you don't want to depend on somebody else's recommendations. Once you learn your scans, now you're controlling your own destiny, your own investment future by saying, this is a nice breakout. If this opens positive, I don't know where it's going, but it's going to be probably heading in the right direction. What else was I looking at in that kind of category? Here's Curo. I know absolutely nothing about this company, but observe the obvious. Slow curve, fry pan bottom, breakout. It tells you there's a brand new investor sentiment. Yes, GameStop is now back down to 189. And I would not doubt that it won't be too many days where we see it back down to $15. I got to figure out where I am here. TRQ. Doji, gap up. What did it do with our T-line? Broke it. Broke the 50, broke the 34. And where do you think the next likely target's going to be? Where other technical investors are. Fill in that gap. Nice J-hook pattern. Now this J-hook pattern, look where it occurred. Apparently we have drawn a support or resistance level from someplace before. And I don't know what that would have been. But you can see your J-hook pattern. And I can't remember what we did to draw that resistance level. But look what started this up move. The change of investor sentiment. You could call that a 45 degree, but that's a strong 45 degree. RW, I mean, you'd really be slinging it, gunslinging it on shorting GameStop. I know, let's see, Steve, are you in here tonight? He bought a put spread way down. Oh, I think he bought puts at 2 cents. Oh, what happened to my cursor? Way down here somewhere. Well, as fast as they could drop, they dropped this 100 points today. It's now trading down in this range. I mean, once they start pulling the plug, okay, yeah. Just puts at 20 cents, all right. Just don't tell the Reddit people if you short, okay. That's right, which is curse. Do you ever use a weekly or monthly chart to look at these patterns or just daily? Wayne, that depends on what your time frame is. I'm a swing trader, so my trades usually last anywhere from 2 to 10 trading days. So I don't really have that much need to trade on, use the weekly or monthly. Now, if you're going to buy something and you thought maybe, and I don't know what this is going to look like, but maybe I want to buy Ford long term. It looks good on the daily, so then maybe I'll swing to the weekly, and oops, they broke out the slow curve on the weekly, and probably this doesn't make too much difference, but it's still uptrending in the monthly. So I wouldn't make those criteria for my swing trading, but if I decided, well, I'm going to hold on to Ford for 6 months, I think they'll do well, and I'll look at the weekly and monthly. Why are you using the 3 moving average? It's called the 3T line. It acts like an additional confirmation that if you see some buying and a buy signal and the 3T line comes up through the 8, just a little added confirmation. And if you're starting to move too far away from the T line, now the 3T line becomes more relevant. So we can do a session on the moving averages one night. In some videos of yours, I've seen you use the T-line 50 and 200. Yes, and yeah, it all depends on which chart I pull up at any given time that may or may not have the 3T line on it. Okay, let's see. Oh, so here's where you can make your big money using the charts. Look at your scoop pattern. Make this bigger. Very easy to identify. Flat handle, they sell it off. Then all of a sudden they start buying, and you can see the scoop. Now, most people say, I'm not going to buy because there's a resistance level. If we can see it as a scoop pattern, this is what we expect coming out the other side, the slingshot effect. Now, look what has happened up here. So that was the result of the scoop pattern. Now we go into our next analysis. Oh, there's a J-hook pattern. So if this is wave 1, wave 3 could be pretty substantial from there. CVAC, a scoop pattern? Yes. Now it's not very strong because this wasn't a very strong day. Had this been a green candle where they opened it here and went this way, that would be more convincing. So right now, this is not a strong chart because of that selling. But you still keep an eye on it. If they came back up through this level, you've still got your scoop in progress. Let's see, we did ORMP, AMTX. Now this is a one big move. So you probably wouldn't have, let's say you didn't get this unless you happen to have bought the fry pan bottom. But now you can see what else is happening. It's pulled back, it's supported on the T line. Now you can make a calculation of whether you want to be buying now. And that would be, if this was wave one, it looks like moved 7 points. This one, you could be buying here with the idea that you're probably heading up to the $13 or $14 area. ALT, yeah, but it's not a J-hook pattern. Remember what your prerequisite is: a strong price move. This is just kind of a junky, slow uptrend. Was it TRQ? No, not so much. Well, kind of a, nah, that wouldn't even be a scoop because there's really no flat handle. The upper band of the Bollinger Band is the 3T line, and when you see the candlesticks are running along the upper band, is it bullish indication or is the trend fading? Still a function of whether it's, if I see something not even able to get back to the T line as support, is using a 3T line, that's still a pretty positive result. Or it's telling you the bulls are definitely in control. Yeah, let's see. Oh, that's because if you look at this on a longer term basis, whoops. There's your steady eddy, there's your consolidation, there's your J-hook type pattern. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going in this direction, but more than likely you're going to start continuing in the uptrend. Would it be worth buying? Yeah, if this opens positive, it's at 1280 and it closed at 1190, so that means it's gapping up. You watch to see what it does. So just like our recommendation today on VXRT, we had a recommendation to buy it if it started trading above 1210. But remember, you're seeing the greater than sign. If it was trading above 1210, you wanted to be buying it. Now, in something like this, when they gap up a good amount, first thing you want to make sure is they don't open it up. Which one was it? Which one was it? Darn, I can't remember. We recommended something the other day. Oh, that was it? Yes. We recommended this on a positive open above something. It gapped up here. I hate that thing. I'm going to shoot it. And notice what it did. As soon as it opened, started trading lower. What color was your candle? Red. What was it telling you? The buyers weren't there. The buyers weren't there. So this would have kept you out of the trade. Now, if it came back down here and then came back up through this level, what was it telling you? It was telling you that the buyers are there, gapping up. That's when you could go after it. So just because something opens positive, a lot of people ask, well, how long does it take for you to buy a position? Sometimes it's 90 seconds. Sometimes it's 45 minutes, all depending on what the overall market conditions are doing. Okay. Oops, I've kept us way over time like I always do. I click. There's kind of your J-hook pattern. In this case, it's a wave 1, wave 2 sideways going into wave 3. SRNE. Another one that, so here is a high statistic trade. If you see something big like this, big percentage move, they open it lower the next day and start trading it lower, take your profits quickly. You don't buy it back until they get back up through this level, because statistically, until they do, this is going to be in a waffling state until they can get back up through that recent high. You look at pre-market buying and selling on a stock you hold. I do. Yes, that just, but I don't do anything. I don't buy or sell pre-market. I just use it to say, all right, this one's opening lower. I better watch it and see where it, what it's going to do from here. So VXRT, we know right now is trading up in this range. So when it opens, I'm going to see whether it starts trading or holding here and trading up, or whether it immediately starts backing off to take profits. But at least I'm alerted pre-market of where it's probably going to open. AMCI. The bigger the signal, the more compelling there's been a change of investor sentiment. Notice over here you had a kicker signal. So what is this overall trend telling you? You're in an uptrend. Now you've had another strong buy signal. Where do you think this one's likely to go to? Probably back up to the top of the channel. That makes for a substantial return. How long would you give VRX to see if it's moving in the right direction when it opens? Oh, if we're sitting here a minute and a half, 2 minutes, you're going to be able to see whether there's just some quick profit taking, and that's where you might flip to your 5-minute chart to see, wouldn't you be buying exuberantly at the top? Wouldn't be buying, we already own it. So I'm not stepping in to buy it. I'm watching to see if they open it up here, whether they're going to continue to take it up, to continue to hold, or whether it's time to take profits. Not so much a J-hook pattern. Remember, you want to, this is more of a fry pan bottom still in progress. Okay, let me see. There is one more. That's kind of your J-hook pattern. You broke through this down wedge. So you could be buying this one with the expectation it's going to continue that trajectory. Okay, that's about all I got tonight. So my usual question is, are there any general questions on candlestick analysis? On VXRT, would you wait for a bounce off the morning low or wait until it moves above the morning high to buy? Oh, I probably, if it gaps way up, not way up, but if it gaps up, it would have moved from this level where we started buying to up here. You're already up 70%. I probably wouldn't be considered buying this one. This one now becomes a hold. I'm going to go back and try to find another chart that looks like this to be a buyer. Mike, I should know. I don't use it. I can't remember what VWAP is. That's volume. We started entering right in here, and this is the advantage of being in the chat room during the day. Somebody said, look at it, look at VRXT. It's just about ready to break out through this level, and you can see that it had supported. We started buying right in here. Yes. So no, we don't use volume weighted average price. All we're interested in is price. And price is going to be reflected on the chart itself. So a lot of people say, well, don't you want to see the volume go up as the price goes up? Volume has absolutely nothing to do with price. If nobody's willing to sell stock, it's going to go up on lower volume. The only time price becomes an added little benefit, see if I can find something. Let's say on a day like this, the volume spikes. On a day that looks like a reversal, that tells you there's probably been some change of ownership, and that's usually just a little bit of added plus that your next move is going to be positive. Buy on flat patterns of doji before makes big move. Previous up move was strong. Buy on flat patterns off doji before makes big up move. If previous up move. Andrew, I don't understand what that means. When will shorting be justified? Whenever you see a candlestick reversal signal and then confirmation. So just because something is moving up doesn't necessarily mean it's time to short. I mean, where would you have shorted this one? It was all over the place. You want to short based upon the symbol, not the symbol, the signal. So that's why we recommended this short. Now here's that perfect example. Let's say VXRT opens up here like this tomorrow and starts trading off. We immediately put our stop right here someplace because logic says if they sell down through that level, the sellers are in control. VJ or VG, no. Just because a stock is up doesn't necessarily mean it's time to short it. For all you know is you can see waffling here and it could wobble around in here. This is a strong uptrend and you're not even in the overbought area. So essentially you're trying to, what do I say, pre-analyze what hasn't happened yet. For all you know, this one may open up here and go up to 20. So we're not trying to short things that are moving up. We're trying to short things that have shown sell signals. Are we putting in ticker requests? No, Aaron, as soon as I tell Jim to do the double line. Will you short something like Williams-Sonoma? That one you could short, but it wouldn't be the best short because that's not a sell signal. That's just telling you you're in a downtrend. It might not be very strong because it wasn't a reversal signal. I would rather short something where you'd have a definite sell signal. Buy dip after strong move and in a flat trading. Yes, that's what makes your scoop pattern. You could, Mike, but usually the price will tell you where your support and resistance level is. I'm going up to where volume. So, yeah, I'm not that concerned as far as what the price is. So if you've got a resistance level because of the price movement, that's probably going to be more relevant than a stock volume. So, yeah, you don't need to make it difficult. Alvaro, that's a toughie. Yeah, there's just, no, that's not a scoop pattern. That's just trading range. Okay, all right, well, Jim, go ahead and do the double line. And in 3.1, oh, mercy, seconds, do the next double line. All right, let me go back up to where can't even find the double line. I can't even find the double line. It went so fast. Hold on, I got to find it. There it is. Okay, silver. I'm going to go through these as quick as we can. Silver. It opened higher and traded lower, and it's touching this level or had just hit that resistance level. So you got to be careful. Now remember, silver went up strong. Usually gold, they work together and it's not following through. So you got to be careful of the projection that maybe they're doing a short squeeze on silver. NRZ, that's what we call a nothing chart. There's just no direction. There's no signals. I'd be someplace else. And Melly, kind of a J-hook pattern. You could be buying this one as long as it stays above the T-line. NVIDIA is just kind of sideways. Wouldn't be long or short this one. There's just no direction. POAI. The fact that it came up, if it does trade positive, you can buy it as a J-hook pattern, but remember, without a reversal signal, it's not going to act as strong. Yes, you can throw your Fibonacci numbers on there to see whether that's adding buying at that level. Now this one's a little bit stronger because you've got your kicker type signal off this area. That tells you there's a lot of strength. You could be buying that one. Fin, you could be buying this one. Look at your next move. That's a good looking chart, John. Kind of a little mini scoop. Best friend breakout of a J-hook pattern coming out of your fry pan bottom. Clove, you just stay with as long as it stays above the T-line. Workhorse, same thing. This right now is a 45 degree. You could be buying it, and if I was buying tomorrow, I'd use today's open as my safety stop. Space is still working nicely. You stay long on this one. The consolidation, now you can see the fry pan bottom. You can see where it broke out with a doji gap up. You just stay long until you see a sell signal. Solar winds. You can stay long, but as you can see, it has to open positive tomorrow to stay in it. NIU, another J-hook pattern in the making. Wouldn't be afraid to be buying that one on positive trading tomorrow. AZUL, one of the airlines. Fry pan bottom, wouldn't be going after it aggressively, but you could buy it. And GP has been kind of languishing in here. Still doesn't have a strong buy signal. It doesn't look like it's a Harami, just an up day. I probably wouldn't pay attention until it breaks through this little downtrend. Ego Gold. Stay long. There's your best friend signal. Gap up. It used the T-line as support today. I would just stay long as long as it stays above the T-line. Can you please demonstrate how you analyze this stock? All right, didn't we? I hope we just did. Let's see, that is a red candle. So it's not as strong as it should be because they've opened it and traded lower. But if you happen to be long, you can stay long right now as long as it doesn't close back below the T-line. And CRE, that's a good chart. Look where you're indecision. Doji, 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 gap up, or bullish confirmation, breaking the downtrend, bouncing off the 50, stochastics coming up. That is your example of when you should be buying a stock. This one, expect a 45 degree off your kind of your best friend type signal. Veil, nothing yet. Let's make this big. Okay. Nothing yet. If you were short, I would have probably covered the short today, but I wouldn't be going long just yet. This looks like a weak morning star. Yeah, usually you want this to be more indecisive. I'd be looking at something else. SENS, this one you can get ready to buy on positive trading. Inverted hammer, Morningstar type signal, but you need to see strength, especially breaking out through this level. OPTT, nothing yet. Right now, if you are short, you can stay short, but if it opens positive, you cover your short position. Max, that one you stay long, kind of a J-hook type pattern. I'd put a safety stop right here. If it came back down into that range, it didn't break out, or it's not staying broken out. Workday, another one you can be buying on positive trading, but it needs to get through this resistance area. So you've got pretty much a flat chart, so it really needs to see something telling you the bulls have taken control. Q2, that's a J-hook pattern. That one you can be buying on positive trading tomorrow. IBSOR has at least 3 J-hook patterns in the last 3 months. Whoops, I don't know what I just did. Oh, no. There we go. It doesn't matter, VG. Let's see. That's not what I wanted to do. Yeah, I don't see the J-hook patterns that are real defined. Hey, Matt, nothing. If you were short, I would have covered the short today, but I wouldn't be going long. Micron, that one I'd be more apt to buy. Got kind of a kicker signal. This one you can buy with the expectation it's coming back up to get into the trend channel. And Skyworks, that's your message. Your doji the message. It was almost a belt hold, but now they told you the profit taking's over. Get ready for more upside. This one, if you were short, you would have covered your short. It doesn't have a real strong buy signal. That's about all I can say. Is I wouldn't be going long on this one. Because there's probably so many other better charts out there. Brooks, same scenario. If I was short, I would have covered the short, but I probably wouldn't be going long on this one. Now you can see the scoop type pattern until you had your bearish left right combo. TLRY, nothing. No direction. Unless they break this out real big to the upside, I'd probably move to something that has a better chart analysis. This one, nothing also. I probably wouldn't be short, and I probably wouldn't be long. Nothing there to hang your hat on just yet. There's a J-hook pattern, inverted hammer. You could be buying this one on positive trading. We did FINV, ARKK. A little trend kicker type signal. You could be buying this one with the expectation it's coming back up to get into the trend channel. Beep. Nothing. If you're short, you could stay short as long as you don't see it close back up above the T line, but you can see you're in a sideways channel. I'd probably be someplace else. And when I say I'd probably be someplace else, if you've got a chart that doesn't look real aggressive or dynamic, move your money to someplace where you've got a much stronger buy signal someplace else. Would you buy immediately if it opens and trades positive? You could, but it's still kind of in a sideways mode. You could buy this on positive trading. It just wouldn't be on the top of my list. There's just too many things out there that are doing J-hook patterns, fry pan bottom breakouts, things that tell you that you've got a high probability of not only moving in the right direction, but having a very strong price move. Semi, that one you can buy. Kind of had a T-line crunch, hold back, but notice where it's supported, right on the 200 and the T-line, telling you they weren't selling it. You could still be buying this one because you can see the big fry pan bottom. Vertex, another one you could buy on positive trading, J-hook pattern setup. So if I was buying on positive trading tomorrow, I wouldn't want to see it close back below the doji, and definitely wouldn't want to see it trade back below the T-line. GBTC does not come up on this system. TTFC, if you're short, you stay short. If you're short, don't let it trade back up above the T-line. That one you can get ready to buy. You can see that it's supporting off the 50. It looks like it's done, doji bullish confirmation. But this is what everybody else is probably watching, your resistance level. I wouldn't buy it until it breaks out through that resistance level. We did TRY. JB, we did Matador twice already today. It's still a nothing chart. I'd have my money someplace else. Now I just scrolled way down too fast. E-man, if you're long, it has to open positive and trade positive, staying up above the T line. Marna, there's your proverbial gap up doji that if you were long, your safety stop would have been right here, because if it came down through there, what was it telling you? It was telling you the doji rule is moving in that direction, and it's probably coming back to test the T line. Salesforce. So anytime you see that gap up doji, put your stops in. Salesforce, nothing great yet, but if this opens positive, you've got kind of your bobble breakout. Near, that's not working. CLDR, you can stay long on this one, 45 degree. I think we did FUV. FUV, you just stay long. Did we do VCYT? You stay long on this McMuffin. Fry pan bottom with a McMuffin. It's got potential of more upside because of the fry pan bottom and the McMuffin. T-Mobile, nothing. That's a sideways chart going nowhere. That'd be someplace else. Etsy, we were short, and we covered the shorts today because after that big bearish signal, they couldn't sell it off. So we close it out right now. It wouldn't be long or short this one. CL, if you're looking at Colgate, you stay short on this one. AMGN, that was your signal. You stay short on this one. Yeah, only 3.1. You can see how many requests we had in 3.1 seconds. NAC, you stay long. Observe the obvious. A bullish engulfing after coming up through the 50, supporting on the 50. There's your next likely target. No, they will. Everything we have is downloadable at this point. So if you ever have trouble downloading something, just email Abraham at the Candlestick Forum, Abraham at Candlestick Forum, and but everything, yeah, you don't have to wait for the GIFs anymore. It's all downloadable. Leaf, that's the one you stay long, supporting on the T line. LRCX, that one, if you were short, bullish harami right smack dab on the 50 where everybody's watching. If it opens positive tomorrow, especially with stochastics down here, you close out your short position, but you don't go long until they close up above the T line. Shopify, nothing. That's a nothing chart. NXPI, that one you can be buying because of the kicker type signal and breaking out through this level. First target should be up here. This one traded positive today. I thought it was trading after I was down here someplace, but you could buy this one on positive trading if you like trading the dollar stocks. Jemiah, slow uptrend. You stay long. You can see it consolidated, move right back up to the trend channel. You just stay long on this as long as it stays above the T line. iRobot. This one, anytime you see a bullish trade and the next day they gap it down and can close it below the open, that tells you the wind is out of the sails. So I would have closed this one out. Now you watch to see if it's going to do a J-hook pattern off the T-line. An MGM, nothing. You've probably got more of a dumpling top. I don't know what that trend was, but that's not a good chart. That's more of a dumpling top. If it breaks down, you can go short on this one. Not a great chart. If it opens positive, you can be buying it, but then you have your safety stop at the T-line. It shouldn't trade back below that level. Roku hasn't been in the limelight here for a bit. At best, you're in a very slow, steady uptrend. This is not a reversal signal, and you're not quite in the oversold area. So I probably wouldn't be long or short Roku, just not enough to hang your hat on that one. Excuse me. PTLR, the PLTR. This one would have to open positive to stay in it. SOL bounced up today. So if you were short, you would have covered the short, but you wouldn't be going long until they can close this above the T-line. Now, Harry, you need to see more confirmation. Etsy needs confirmation to the upside. Taiwan. That one you can get ready to buy. It's got kind of a kicker type signal with the expectation that you're kind of in a classic, getting ready for a J-hook pattern. ARKF, that's a J-hook pattern. Also expected to come back up into that trend channel. NIO hasn't shown very much strength here in the last few weeks. It started up. So here's a good example where you had a pattern setting up. That kind of negated it, and that definitely killed it. So when you see something like that, remember what we're looking for. We're looking for bullish confirmation. That would have had me out. That did have us out of that trade, and we're not back in it until you see a buy signal. Same scenario on Kendai. It started up, but then it failed. So if you kind of mentally set your expectations that probably about 1/3, 30% of your trades aren't going to work, that way you don't stay in it and be emotionally involved. You say, oops, this one's not working, close it out, and you go try to find a better chart setup. What's the lowest time frame you use for patterns? Well, yeah, Mike, depending on what you're trading. I used to trade the E-minis off the 1 minute, 3 minute, 10-minute combination. I'll even use the 1 minute if I see a 10-minute chart, which I trade off of, looking good. Then they go down to the 5 minute. If it's looking good, I get ready to buy. I flip to the 1 minute to make sure it's still moving in the right direction. All right, Marna was downgraded. So it's all a function of what time frame, how fast you're trading, either on a day trade basis or intraday. NIA, nothing. That's a sideways chart. I'd be someplace else. Diebold. That one you stay long. Ever since your little best friend, your 45-degree remains in progress. Driv, nothing. If you were short, I would have covered the short with it trading back up above today's open. I wouldn't be long or short this one right now. There's no direction. And CLDX, kind of a 45-degree on your little bobble breakout. Just stay long. How are the truckers doing in your opinion? Oh, I don't know which ones. That's a tanker. I'm trying to think of which truckers. And I can't think of any of the symbols right now. ENPH, another nothing chart. Can't tell which way it's going. I'd have my money someplace else. And IPOL, whoops, oh, it was typing so fast that the letters couldn't keep up. Well, that's a fine how to do. I guess IPOL doesn't come up over here on this system. After today's rally, would you try to open more long than short positions tomorrow? Carefully. I would be looking for maybe adding a long position or two. Groupon, that one you can buy. It broke the downtrend. There's your bullish Harami. Confirmed. Now the 50 is not acting as resistance. There's a wave 1, wave 2 going into wave 3. XL, apparently somebody recommended it today. So you see where they open this one tomorrow. You'd like to see this break this little downtrend. But the obvious part is that it hit the 50 and bounced up. You can do that. Trade low volume or low price stocks on big volume. Use whatever you want to trade off of them, whether you want to use the 5-minute or the 10-minute. Why did you stop trading the E-minis? I was younger then, Wayne. And right now I don't have time to trade the E-minis. I have hardly time to trade, day trade anything. But that was back when I was in Houston. SOS trading. You could trade, I traded back then, but I was much younger then. Not any better looking, but much younger. FLGT, you can see that it's moving nicely. You're in the overbought area. I would probably put a safety stop now at the halfway point of this candle. If they came down through there, that means the selling has started. Oh, okay, there's some. JB Hunt, nothing yet. If you're short, you stay short, but with today's hammer Harami, if it opens positive tomorrow, I would cover a short position, but I wouldn't be going long. Same scenario here. If I was short, I'd be ready to cover it on positive trading tomorrow. USX, nothing there. Yeah. So if these are all trucking stocks, there's just nothing there. Nothing here either. I wouldn't be short them, but I wouldn't be going long. This one has the most prospects, but even if it popped all the way up here, it's still only about an 8% move. Alcoa, another one that if you were short, I'd get ready to cover the short position. And Freeport, let's make this bigger. So you can see where this opened today, above the previous day's open. I'd get ready to buy this one on positive trading tomorrow, giving you a bullish flutter kicker breakout. And EH, that one you can be buying on positive trading, your J-hook pattern setting up. Okay, I've kept you way past your bedtimes. Alex, still looking for a bobble breakout. It needs to get much closer. Well, no, it did get closer. I'd be a buyer of this one if it comes up through this level, your bobble breakout. Okay, the Dow's up another 100. But remember, Don, those numbers do not mean a hill of beans this time of night. It's what's happening about 7 minutes before the market opens that is the relevant. This one, as you can see, oh, can't even see what the price movement is. It's so big. So it started, anyways, I wouldn't be long on this anymore. Geesh, they just move so much. This one, look where it started. This had to have been down here around 4 and it hit 125. That's a strong move. All right, everybody. We will see you bright and early tomorrow in the chat rooms. We'll see you then.